Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is Pick Me Up, a modern manhwa that I was recommended previously that I've now read up to chapter 126 on. Its main character is Loki, an alias for a user of a mobile game in his modern world with the same name as the title of the manhwa. He's actually one of the best users as the owner of Niflheim in this game that has a reputation for being ridiculously ruthless and unforgiving in its difficulty. One day, after losing consciousness, he finds himself in an unfamiliar territory, but soon realizes that he's in the world of Pick Me Up, but as a character instead, with the name of Han? Now being in the seat that he put his characters in, will he be able to survive? What happens to his original account and those characters? The story is 9 out of 10. Other than a little rough beginning that lays out the foundation required for the rest of the story to at least make some sense, the overall pacing and direction is good. I found myself captivated with the overall mystery that this so-called mobile gacha game had for the world. The revelations give more fuel to the ever-growing flame. The characters are 10 out of 10. From the crazy, rational, emotional, and all in between, there are a crazy amount of characters that you will be introduced to as the reader. A lot of them are of course unimportant and unassuming, but it's pretty easy to tell the ones that we need to pay attention to. The art is 9 out of 10. From its illustration of the town that Loki or Han is a part of, to the levels that they must go through to proceed. The art has a way of pulling you in closer to Han's experience while in the game of Pick Me Up, and it's very immersive indeed. If you're in love with the cover art, you're in for a treat. Are you a fan of gacha games in a fantasy setting and want an immersive story that follows one of the top players in their mysterious journey in the game world itself? Then Pick Me Up would be a good title for you to pick up. This next manhwa is Can We Become a Family? A regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 132 on. The protagonist is Navia, an individual that's in quite an interesting predicament. She's lived multiple lives already, specifically 8 of them, and in those previous lives, she tried living happy ones, but in all of them, she was always used as a pawn by the Duke Agnes family to further their political plans and not sacrifice their actual daughter. The peculiar thing is, after her first life, she had a number on her wrist that was counting down as she lived her multiple lives. And now, on her 9th life, the number is replaced with a dark moon symbol instead. Does this mean that this is her last life? And will she be finally able to live her own life? The story is 9 out of 10. With a mysterious journey and an intriguing hook from Navia already having lived multiple lives, the setting is already primed with enough potential that it can muster. At least for me, it certainly is able to utilize this aspect very well. Prepare for some time skips here and there that speed up portions of the story, just to be clear as well. The characters are also 9 out of 10. From detestable, dastardly villains to the more kind and lovable ones that await Navia, and this shouldn't come as a surprise for these types of stories anymore, there are enough characters with their own perspectives on the matter, albeit some with more depth than others. The art is 10 out of 10. The illustrations that Can We Become a Family provide, similar to some of the other manhwas covered on this channel, shows quite the contrast with its expression of the situations that Navia had to go through before this 9th life, compared to the one that she's living through now. Are you a fan of regression manhwas that have the female lead go through multiple regressions, similar to A Saint Who Was Adopted by the Grand Duke from my previous videos, but have a more focus on the family aspect side of things? Then Can We Become a Family might just be a good fit for you. The Great Wizard Transcendent is the name of our next manhwa. It's a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 107 on. Mikhail Walpurgis is the name of its main character. A powerful individual who specialized in magic, Mikhail joined a party of people whose purpose it was to defeat the Demon Lord. Think of a typical fantasy adventure story. However, before the party could even begin their journey, the identified hero is the first to die in this supposed epic. Stubborn and disappointed by the hero's performance, Mikhail takes it upon himself to use magic to go back in time 20 years so that he can become the hero instead and prevent this situation from ever happening. Successful in his time rewinding magic, Miguel embarks on a journey of growth, recruitment, and overall purpose. Is his decision right though? The story is 7 out of 10. What we have here is a typical hero's journey, but with a slightly different motive. Now having to take on the position of the hero, the consequences of Mikhail's decisions will be felt by him directly. There are a lot of little revelations and development in the overall story, but be prepared for a pace that's a little slow. The characters are 8 out of 10. Mikhail has quite the prickly personality, even knowing a rough outline of the future still doesn't eliminate this side of him. Although, he still has good intentions to start with, but let's just say don't be surprised if you don't agree with his decisions or actions. He's not the only one though, as he is busy recruiting people for the cause as well. The art is 7 out of 10. The overall package has good illustrations for both the action and, in particular, magic portions of the manhwa. However, the characters are sadly not to my personal taste. The art style for them just doesn't fit the frame that is trying to fit it in my opinion. So if you're looking for a manhwa that has the main character go back in time in some fashion to take the place that was initially filled by someone else, think A Flame Reborn or the Dragon Slayer Academy's Hotshot from my previous videos. Then the great Wizard Transcendent would be a good choice for you. The next manhwa to look over is She Was Sent by God, a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 31 on. The focus of this story is on Agnes, a royal princess who was sent to marry a poor duke noble who she doesn't have the greatest relationship with, as misunderstandings grew between the two of them. As the duke's residence is being besieged by the emperor, this same duke tasks some of his most trusted men to safeguard Agnes to safety. This proves to be quite the futile effort though, as even Agnes is caught by the emperor's men. Luck would shine upon Agnes though through a fortuitous encounter with a being that allows her to go back in time. With this new chance, she will ensure that her husband will not go down the same road as her. Will she succeed, or is she bound to fall by the emperor's hands no matter what? The potential is 8 out of 10. With regretful feelings, misunderstood people, and a slew of events that allow Agnes to actually see her husband's at least not negative feelings towards her, this makes for a believable motive as to why she's now willing to go through many situations to protect him. Agnes will have to play her cards right though, even if she knows the future, to allow her and her husband the slim chance to survive the Emperor's wrath. The art is 8 out of 10 as well. From character designs that are pleasing to the eye to the emotional illustrations that comes from their expressions and backgrounds from the events that Agnes goes through, such as the Duke's sacrifice for instance, gives the manhwa quite a personality and style. So if you're a fan of regression manhwas, particularly those of a romantic fantasy genre where the female lead will have to step up, politically mostly, to protect the husband who sacrificed himself for her, then She Was Sent by God would be an interesting manhwa for you to pick up. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I've previously covered. Today's highlight is Tyrant of the Tower Defense game, which I've now read up to chapter 123 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Ash, our ever so ever positive protagonist, has been through a lot of events over the 50 plus chapters that I've now been able to read. From having to deal with the defense missions that have ever-increasing difficulties that are even more difficult than what he had to go through when it was a game, to the mysterious attack missions that has him and his party members explore the origins of said monsters. There is clearly a lot more to the world than just the fortress they're defending. From delving into Jupiter's past that seems to overlap with his own, to the mysteriousness of the supposed capital that Ash actually hails from, there's enough material here to keep things interesting. For good or for ill in Ash's case. But what is the true end goal? My previous scores for this manhwa were 9 out of 10 for all 3 sections. From this next set of 50 plus chapters, this 9 out of 10 overall score stays the same. From its development of the larger story and the mysterious history of the Lake Kingdom, to the refined character development that allows us to delve deeper in the personalities, histories, and reasons as to why these characters come to this place at all. The overall picture has been illustrated beautifully in its art style, while also keeping enough comedic scenes to not make the whole entire story dreary and potentially even futile for our characters. The manhwa has been able to keep up what it's good at while slowly expanding itself into the overall narrative that is finally opening up from its very limited scope at the Fortress Crossroad. Tyrant of the Tower Defense game so far has been a crazy ride for both Ash and the readers. with enough attachment and loss to keep you invested, but at the same time enough room and mystery for it to grow and give further plot development. I'm curious to see how some of the already established storylines and future character arcs have in store for us to follow. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Tyrant of the Tower Defense game. And that wraps up this week's episode. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Once again, thank you to Marcelo Sotero Garcia 671 for recommending some of the manhwas we looked at today. I always appreciate getting recommendations from the community, so please leave down in the comment section down below some of the manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time, have a good read.